Good afternoon, Dr. Sharma, and welcome to another session on brain health.
Good afternoon, Dr. Vasconcelos. I'm good to be back.
Today is March the 23rd, 2021, and just hours ago, we had an incident in Boulder, Colorado, where 10 individuals were killed. And just days prior, an incident happened in Georgia, where the Asian community were attacked, and I think 8 individuals died in that incident. And our condolences go out to the families who suffered this loss. In both incidents, it appears that the people who committed this crime were young males. And as a mental health expert, especially the incident that just happened, and we do not know the facts, but as a mental health expert, what would you say that would describe what would propel a person to behave in such a violent manner? How can they be so detached from reality? Because to go into a spa or a school or a supermarket and just kill people reflects that we have a serious mental problem. And I'm sure the FBI and many experts are going to come out and do some analysis. But you, as a mental health expert, as a physician, what are some of the factors, would you say, that contribute to the conduct of someone in specifically regarding these cases?
So it's truly grievous that we hear again of this tragedy, and it's so frequent. I think looking at the data, it's probably about the 7th of this sort of crimes that is happening in the U.S. within this year alone. So a number of very bad experiences happen in Boulders, and we feel grief for the families. And Atlanta, in Georgia, Atlanta, I believe, where several very wonderful people lost their lives by the act of somebody who is quite not right in their thinking. As you know, I talk about the brain rather than mental, because mental is so vague. People start to dismiss people as, well, they're mentally unbalanced, and we're not really understanding what happens with their brain. But we're quite more knowledgeable now about the fact that when these persons go into that state where they're going to harm people, imminent harm, they're now in a state where their brain is not rational anymore. They may look rational, they may be operating within a plan. The brain is operating in an organized way for them, but in reality, they're not right in their minds anymore. They're not right in their brain function anymore, and they're quite dysfunctional. The question is, what triggers that? And there are multiple factors. Many times, mass shootings are because of a single factor of hate that's complicated by influences. So the hatred is targeted at a particular set of persons. It could be as a reaction to feelings of extreme low self-esteem, or a person who is a victim of abuse themselves. It could be related to substances, and alcohol and other drugs are implicated sometimes. Many times, though, these persons sort of appear to be carrying out their actions in a cold-blooded manner. One would consider that to be murder one, where they're preconceived and they fall in a plan. But truly, their brains are out of sync with reality, and they've gone into somewhat of a dissociative state. As you said quite rightly, they look detached. or they appear detached from what the consequences of what they're doing, not the consequences for themselves, because they also seem to be uncaring about what happens to themselves. If they live or die, more likely that they probably would want to die. They're almost like in a state of semi-death, you know. They're sort of like zombies who are going through a process. And when they come out of it, or they're treated, sometimes they really can't really understand themselves as to why they did it. So it's a sad state that somebody would go into that condition, not be recognized, not be seen as what for what they're doing. It's kind of that part of it strikes me as very unusual that persons can go purchase a weapon, look as if they're okay, talk rationally, but actually behave extremely irrationally. So it doesn't match the behavior with the actions, you know, and I think a lot depends on us, not on law enforcement, because they're doing their best. They do their best to pick up the pieces and the therapists and so on. But the persons who are knowledgeable of these individuals, they can't hide it. They must know that these persons are not well. They must see it in their behaviors, and maybe why they're not seeing it is because of the way society has become. It's it's seen and not seen. You know, it's like the song about the homeless, where the person is. Phil Collins, I think, sang that, where he's not seeing the lady who is homeless, but she's there. So we often now don't look anymore at people who are suffering on the streets. We bypass them. We've lost that humanity. The whole society has become changed, and it's a very strange world that we live in. And I really feel that that is the crux of the problem, that our family values are gone and persons are not seeing what the kids are doing. Youngsters get locked away in their rooms for the entire day. They're on their cell phones. TV is taking over the lives of people. They become engrossed in it, become influenced by it. So there's a tremendous lack of family connection and connectivity. So whilst I say we must see it, we don't see it because it's not visible. It's an invisible problem. And I think unless and until we actually open an eye to that fact, then these things will continue. And we will grieve and we will mourn the loss of our loved ones and all those loved ones who have gone tragically through the gun. And and I know, and I sympathize with the persons who say, well, we should ban assault weapons. I actually don't see the point of an assault weapon in the hands of young people or anybody. I think it's a dangerous practice. I can understand arguments. Well, we can go out in the outdoors and do some wild shootings, but it doesn't make much sense, you know, to have assault weapons openly available to persons, especially unless there's a significant screening done of the individual personality makeup. There's so many laws and restrictions about driving a car, you know, and yet we don't apply those laws and restrictions so much when it comes to use of very dangerous weapons. So I really think we need to be a bit more watchful about who can access weapons. But beyond that, Doc, I think it's about being able to connect back with the family. Let us see who these persons are who are targeting individuals who are not functioning well in their lives, and be able to pick them up and get them to the help that they deserve. You know, this silence about people who are not well, trying to pretend now to everyone that we have the most best perfect families, it must end. You see, it's people are going to get caught, and that's what we see now.
Doc, you touch on some very good points. One of the things I would like to follow up with you, and you said it depends on us. And the incident that just happened in Boulder, we do not know much, but the prior one in Georgia, it appears that the person who contacted the authorities were the parents of the person who allegedly committed the crime. My question to you, and this recent one in Boulder, we have no clue. But my question to you is, do you think that obviously it hurts a parent to do something like that, to call the authorities and say, it's actually my child who's on that screen, knowing the consequences that would come? So the question is, what can we do as parents to make sure we're not in that situation, other than what you address in terms of being aware of how involved they are with the internet and being conditioned? But do you think there are some signs that parents can look out for in their own children to make sure that what happened just days ago will not repeat itself?
Oh, absolute, Doc. I think that's a very important point, that the persons who are closest individuals who are very troubled need to recognize them. And if there's a lack of communication that's happening, or uh, poor communication because a young person or any person in the family communicates poorly or aggressively, or says things that are troubling, that are threatening, or post messages that others are seeing. So a lot of these things happen, and people don't take it seriously. I mean, we're asking our security to be screening the internet. The families should be able to screen what their kids are writing and how they're communicating with their friends. They should know who their friends are. They should be aware of what kind of company they keep. So this is not going back to the old days. This is going back to healthy days. This is where we got to find those family values. People get caught up with working to make money and to build beautiful homes, and there's no beauty within the home. So the beauty is of structure, but the family structure is the most important. But beyond the family, I think it's also about everybody. Teachers must also be aware. This thing about, oh, we got to protect our anonymity and confidentiality, I think it's gone and carried out too far. You got to know when it is right to intervene. We got to be our brother's keeper. We know in Guyana in the days when neighbors can come over and scold a kid and say, well, this is not right, you're not doing right, because they felt as responsible as the parents were for that kid. So it's got to be a contribution from everyone. It's not snitching on people, it's just getting the person to get help. It is not right when you see somebody going down, involved in activities that are not healthy. We got to get them help. It's not all about punishment. I said the system has to work together. If somebody's bringing in somebody for help and then they get punished, well, then they're not going to want to bring them in for help anymore. So we got a very, very confused, chaotic system, and we're seeing the result of this crazy, chaotic system of strange ways of helping people by punishing them alone. So it's got to be a combination of efforts. So there's a lot of work to be done, Doc. We got to make it happen. We have to make it happen. This is our lifetime. It's being destroyed. The environment is being destroyed. Our lives are being destroyed. People become extremely vulnerable by habits that making them weaken the immune system. We got to make this thing work for our kids, for the future. Are we going to lose our humanity?
Doc, thank you so much for always educating us on the power of the mind and the brain, and to keep us focused on brain health, overall well-being, and to remind people that there is hope. And thanks to professionals like you who educate us, who inspire us, we thank you. May God bless you, and hope to see you soon in Guyana.
Thank you, Doc. Look forward to that.